The edge of the universe does not exist. That sounds impossible. Every instinct says there must be a boundary somewhere, a final wall, a last point where everything stops. But science says something far more disturbing. The faster you try to reach the edge, the more it escapes you. Even if you could travel at the speed of light, the absolute fastest speed allowed by the laws of physics, you would never arrive. Not in a billion years, not in a trillion. Not even if the universe lasted forever. So where does the universe actually end? That question has confused some of the greatest minds in history, and the answer breaks the way human thinking works at a fundamental level. In this video, you will understand why reaching the edge of the universe is not just difficult, it is impossible. You will learn how space itself behaves in ways that defy logic, how the universe can grow without expanding into anything, and why there are parts of reality that are permanently cut off from us. By the end, the idea of an edge will feel completely wrong, and something much stranger will take its place. Humans are wired to believe that everything has a boundary. A room has walls, a country has borders, an ocean meets land, even the earth itself has a surface you can stand on and circle around. Every object you have ever seen exists within limits. You can walk to the edge of a table, you can reach the end of a road, you can travel across a continent and know there is nothing beyond a certain point except something different. So it feels natural to assume the universe must follow the same rule. There must be a final destination, a place where space simply stops. But this assumption is deeply flawed. The universe does not behave like any object you have ever experienced. It does not sit inside a larger space. It does not expand into an empty void. There is no outer layer, no shell, no hidden boundary waiting to be discovered. In fact, one of the lesser-known facts in modern cosmology is this: the universe is not expanding into anything at all. That idea alone sounds absurd. Expansion usually means something is growing into surrounding space. A balloon expands into the air around it. A fire spreads into the space nearby. But the universe has no outside. There is no external space for it to grow into. So what does it even mean when scientists say the universe is expanding? It means space itself is stretching, not objects moving through space, not galaxies flying outward into emptiness. The actual fabric of space between galaxies is growing larger over time. This discovery completely changed our understanding of reality. And it created a paradox that still feels impossible to fully grasp. How can something expand if there is no outside to expand into? And if it is expanding, how can it not have an edge? These questions led scientists to one of the most shocking conclusions ever made. The universe does not follow the rules of everyday geometry. On small scales, things behave normally. You measure distances, you draw straight lines, you define edges and boundaries. But on the scale of the entire universe, those rules break down. Space can curve, it can stretch, it can even loop back on itself in ways that remove the concept of an edge entirely. This means the universe might not be infinite in the way most people think, and it might not be finite in the way people expect either. It could be something in between. A structure so strange that traveling in a straight line forever would never lead you to a boundary, yet you would not be exploring an infinite emptiness either. Even more surprising is this, that there are regions of the universe that exist right now that you will never be able to reach, not because they are too far in the usual sense, but because space itself is carrying them away faster than light can travel. This creates a hidden limit, a kind of invisible horizon beyond which everything is permanently inaccessible. Most people have never heard of this. It means that even though the universe might be endless, your access to it is not. You are trapped inside a cosmic bubble of visibility. And outside that bubble, entire galaxies are slipping away forever, vanishing beyond reach, never to be seen or touched. So the real mystery is not just where the universe ends. It is whether the idea of an ending even makes sense. In the next few minutes, you will see why the concept of an edge breaks down completely, how the expansion of space creates limits that no technology can overcome, and why the universe might be far stranger than anything the human mind was built to understand. Stay with this, because the deeper this goes, the more reality begins to feel unstable. Welcome to the channel. If you want to explore the strangest truths about space, time, and existence itself, make sure to subscribe. The idea of an edge feels obvious. Everything in daily life reinforces it. Walls stop you, roads end. Even the horizon looks like a boundary where the world fades away. The human brain is trained to search for limits. So when people think about the universe, they expect the same pattern. A final border, a place where space simply runs out, but this expectation comes from a deep misunderstanding. The universe is not an object sitting inside something larger. It is not floating in a giant empty container. There is no outer layer surrounding it, no hidden space beyond it. The universe is all of space. That means there is no outside to expand into, no empty void waiting beyond some distant edge. This is one of the most difficult ideas to accept because it breaks a rule that feels fundamental. Expansion usually means moving into something else. But in this case, there is nothing else. Space itself is what is expanding. A lesser-known detail is that when scientists first discovered this, it caused serious confusion. Early interpretations suggested that galaxies were flying outward from a central point into emptiness. That idea turned out to be wrong. There is no center and there is no outer direction. Every point in the universe behaves as if it is at the center because the expansion is happening everywhere at once. This leads to a strange conclusion. If there is no outside, then there is no edge in the normal sense. To understand this, scientists use an unusual comparison. Think about the surface of a sphere, not the inside, not the outside, just the surface itself. On that surface, you can travel in any direction. You can move forward forever, but you will never find an edge. There is no boundary line where the surface suddenly ends. Yet the surface is not infinite. It has a limited size. This is called being unbounded. It means something can have a finite size, but no edges. The universe could work in a similar way, but in higher dimensions that are far beyond direct human perception. Another surprising fact is that if the universe is shaped like this, traveling in a perfectly straight line for long enough could bring you back to your starting point. Not because you turned around, but because space itself curves. This idea sounds abstract, but it comes from real solutions to the equations of general relativity. Even more surprising is that current observations suggest the universe is extremely close to flat, not curved like a simple sphere, but not clearly infinite either. This leaves open the possibility that the universe is far larger than what can be observed, possibly wrapping in ways that are too subtle to detect. So the search for an edge becomes meaningless. There is no wall to crash into, no final destination waiting at the end of space. Instead, there is only more space, and the deeper you go, the more the idea of a boundary starts to disappear, replaced by something far more unsettling. Because even if there is no edge, there are still limits, and those limits are not where space ends, but where reality itself becomes unreachable. The universe did not begin as a calm and silent place. It started with a violent expansion, not an explosion into empty space, but an expansion of space itself. Every point in the universe began moving away from every other point at the same time. This event is known as the Big Bang, and it is still happening. That is the part many people do not realize. The expansion never stopped. Even now, at this very moment, the distance between galaxies is increasing. Space is stretching, slowly pulling everything apart. At first, this expansion was not easy to detect. Galaxies looked like fixed islands in space, but then a surprising discovery changed everything. Light from distant galaxies was stretched. Its wavelength shifted toward the red end of the spectrum. This effect is called redshift. It revealed that those galaxies were moving away, and not just a few of them. Almost all galaxies are receding. Even more shocking, the farther away a galaxy is, the faster it appears to move away. This relationship is not random. It follows a precise pattern known as Hubble's law. This creates a strange situation. Close galaxies drift away as lowly, distant galaxies race away at incredible speeds, and at extreme distances, something unbelievable happens. Some galaxies are moving away faster than the speed of light. This does not break the laws of physics because they are not moving through space faster than light. Instead, space itself is expanding between us and them. That distinction changes everything. It means there are parts of the universe that are receding so quickly that light from them will never reach us. Even if a signal started traveling today at the speed of light, it would never catch up. This creates a hidden barrier. Not a wall, not an edge, but a limit that cannot be crossed. A lesser known fact is that this limit is constantly changing as the universe expands. More regions slip beyond reach. Galaxies that are visible today will eventually disappear from view. In the distant future, observers in our galaxy may see a dark and empty universe with no evidence of other galaxies at all. They would not know that a vast cosmos once existed beyond their reach. This expansion also creates a problem for travel. Even with perfect technology, even with a spacecraft that could reach light speed, there would still be destinations that remain forever unreachable. The faster you move toward them, the faster space stretches between you and your target. It is like running on a path that keeps extending faster than you can move forward. No matter how long the journey lasts, the distance never closes. This is not a limitation of engineering. It is built into the structure of the universe itself. There is a maximum distance from which light can ever reach you. Beyond that, the expansion wins, and this leads directly to a deeper concept. A boundary that is not physical but absolute, a horizon that defines everything you can ever see, touch, or influence. There is a boundary around you right now you see. Cannot see it, you cannot touch it, but it defines everything you will ever know about the universe. This boundary is called the observable universe. It is the maximum distance from which light has had enough time to reach you since the beginning of cosmic expansion. Nothing beyond it has ever been seen. Not because it does not exist, but because its light has not arrived yet. This creates a kind of cosmic bubble. Inside this bubble lies every galaxy, every star, every signal you can ever detect. Beyond it lies a much larger reality that remains completely hidden. A lesser known detail makes this even stranger. The observable universe is not just limited by distance, it is limited by time. Light travels at a fixed speed. Even though the universe is about 13.8 billion years old, the observable radius is much larger than that. This is because space itself has been expanding while light was traveling. So the light reaching us today started its journey from regions that are now tens of billions of light years away. That alone is difficult to grasp, but it gets worse. There are regions of the universe whose light will never reach us, not now, not in the future, not ever. This is not because they are too far in a simple sense. It is because the expansion of space is accelerating. That acceleration changes everything. As space stretches faster and faster, it creates a situation where distant regions are being carried away at speeds that light cannot overcome. Even if light leaves those regions and travels toward us forever, the gap continues to grow. It never closes. This creates a second, more extreme boundary, a limit not just of observation, but of connection. Anything beyond this limit is permanently cut off. Signals sent today will never arrive. Journeys started today will never reach their destination. Even information itself becomes trapped. This is sometimes called the cosmic event horizon. It is one of the most unsettling features of the universe because it means there are events happening right now in distant galaxies that will remain forever unknown. Entire histories unfolding in silence, completely disconnected from our existence. Another surprising fact is that this horizon is not fixed. It evolves over time. As expansion continues, more and more galaxies cross this boundary. They fade away, becoming dimmer, redder, and eventually invisible. From our perspective, they simply vanish. In the far future, the night sky will look very different. Most galaxies will disappear beyond this horizon, leaving only a small cluster bound by gravity. Future observers may believe the universe is small and empty, with no evidence of the vast cosmos that exists beyond their reach. So this boundary is not an edge you can travel to. It is a limit on what reality you are allowed to experience. And no matter how advanced technology becomes, no matter how long you wait, this limit remains because it is not set by distance alone. It is set by the way space itself behaves. And that behavior leads to an even deeper problem because space is not just expanding, it is stretching in a way that changes the fate of everything inside it. Everything about motion in space feels familiar at first. Planets orbit stars. Stars move through galaxies. Galaxies drift through the universe. It looks like a vast but ordinary system of objects moving through a fixed stage. But that picture is wrong. The stage itself is changing. Galaxies are not simply flying through empty space. The space between them is stretching. It is growing, slowly increasing the distance between everything that is not tightly bound by gravity. This is one of the most important and least intuitive facts in cosmology. On small scales, gravity holds things together. Solar systems stay intact. Galaxies remain stable. Even clusters of galaxies can resist this stretching for a long time, but beyond those scales, space begins to dominate. Distances grow even when nothing is actively moving. Two galaxies can sit relatively still in their local regions, yet the space between them expands, pushing them farther apart over time. This creates a strange effect. You can move toward a distant galaxy, but the distance to it keeps increasing at the same time. Your motion and the expansion are happening together, and they compete. In nearby regions, motion can win. You can cross the distance, but at larger scales, expansion takes over. And once it does, there is no way to overcome it. A lesser-known detail is that this expansion is not slowing down. For a long time, scientists believed gravity would eventually slow the universe and possibly reverse it, but observations revealed something unexpected. The expansion is accelerating. Some unknown force, often called dark energy, is driving space to stretch faster as time passes. This changes the fate of the universe completely. Regions that are barely reachable today will become unreachable in the future. The boundary of access keeps shrinking in a practical sense. Even though space itself is growing, galaxies that are visible right now are slowly drifting toward disappearance. Their light becomes stretched, their signals weaken. Their images fade. Then they cross a point of no return. Beyond that point, no light they emit will ever reach us again. They are not destroyed, they still exist. Entire galaxies full of stars, planets, and possibly light continue on. But they are gone from our universe in any meaningful way. Another surprising fact is that this process is already happening. There are galaxies whose current light will be the last we ever receive from them. Future light they emit is already trapped by expansion, unable to bridge the growing gap. So even now, the visible universe is slowly losing pieces of itself over extremely long timescales. This leads to a dark future. Only the nearest galaxies, those bound by gravity, will remain visible. Everything else will slip away beyond reach. From inside that future, the universe will appear small and isolated, no distant galaxies, no evidence of expansion, no sign of a larger cosmos, just a quiet, empty darkness. All of this happens not because objects are moving too fast in a normal sense, but because space itself is changing the rules. Distances are no longer fixed. Paths are no longer stable, and movement alone is not enough to overcome the expansion. Which leads to an even deeper question. If space can stretch like this, endlessly separating everything, then what is the true shape of the universe itself, and does it even have a size in the way people expect? The biggest mystery still remains unanswered. Is the universe truly infinite, or is it something else entirely? Scientists do not have a final answer. That alone is surprising. With all the technology, all the data, all the equations, the true size of the universe is still unknown. What has been measured with high precision is the observable part, the region from which light has reached us, but beyond that, everything becomes uncertain. The universe could extend forever in all directions. If that is true, then there is no edge at all, not hidden, not far away. It simply does not exist. Space goes on without limit beyond anything that can ever be explored. In that case, every possible journey continues forever. No matter how far you travel, there is always more space ahead. But there is another possibility that is even more strange. The universe could be finite, yet still have no edge. This sounds like a contradiction, but it is not. It depends on the shape of space itself. On Earth, you can travel in a straight line across the surface. You will never fall off. You will never reach a boundary, yet the surface has a limited size. This happens because the surface is curved. Now take that idea and extend it into higher dimensions. Space itself could be curved in a way that wraps around. Not like a simple sphere, but in more complex forms that are difficult to visualize. In such a universe, traveling far enough in one direction could, in theory, bring you back to your starting point. Not because you turned around, but because space loops. A lesser-known detail is that scientists have searched for signs of this kind of structure. They've looked for repeating patterns in the cosmic background radiation, signals that would suggest space connects back onto itself. So far, no clear evidence has been found, but that does not rule it out. It only means that if the universe is curved in this way, it is much larger than the part we can observe. Another surprising possibility is that the universe could be flat and still infinite. Measurements suggest that space is extremely close to flat with almost no detectable curvature. A perfectly flat universe can extend forever without bending back, but even a tiny curvature, too small to detect, could change everything. So the universe sits on a knife edge between different possibilities, infinite and endless, or finite and unbounded. In both cases, the result feels the same from inside. There is no edge to find, no final wall waiting in the distance, no point where space suddenly stops. Instead, there's only a continuous expanse that either goes on forever or loops in ways that hide any boundary completely. This means the question itself may be flawed not where the universe ends, but whether the idea of an end applies at all. And as this picture becomes clearer, one final realization begins to take shape. The impossibility of reaching the edge is not just about distance or speed, it is built into the very structure of reality itself. The search for the edge of the universe leads to a strange conclusion. There was never an edge to find. The entire idea comes from the way the human mind understands the world. Everything in daily life has a boundary, a limit, a place where something ends and something else begins, but the universe does not follow those rules. There is no wall in space, no final border, no outer layer waiting in the distance. Instead, there are limits of a different kind, limits on what can be seen, limits on what can be reached, limits created by time, distance, and the expansion of space itself. Beyond those limits, the universe continues, silent, unreachable, possibly endless. It may stretch forever in all directions, or it may curve in ways that hide any edge completely. Either way, the result is the same. There is no destination called the edge of the universe. No matter how far you go, there is always more beyond. And that changes the question entirely. The mystery is no longer where the universe ends. The real mystery is why it exists like this at all, why space can stretch, why it has no clear boundary, why reality itself feels so far removed from human intuition. These are questions that reach deeper than distance. They touch the nature of existence itself. And the more science discovers, the more it becomes clear that the universe is not just vast. It is fundamentally strange. If this changed the way you see reality, then you're already starting to think beyond the limits of everyday logic. Stay curious, because the deeper you go, the stranger it gets. And if you want more journeys into the unknown, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel.